Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're having a wonderful one out there, a phenomenal day. As today, we dive into a little bit of Beethoven. We're going to listen to this piece of music, Piano Sonata number 32 in C minor. We're going to listen to the second movement, is I believe how you would read this off. I'm just trying to make sure I read it off correctly, which is going to be Arietta, Adagio, molto, semplice e cantabile. Hope I pronounced that correctly. We're listening to this because it was suggested and sponsored by Alan. So, Alan, thank you so much for the recommendation and thank you so much for the support. You said that this is his last and final piano sonata, and this would be the last movement, of such. So, let's go ahead and dive on into it. Of course, we'll discuss the music after. We'll sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Here we go. my voice would have only disturbed the music and the scene of everything if I spoke during this piece of music. This was a phenomenal journey of a piece to listen to. This actually gave you a little bit of everything from Beethoven. I think that you got every facet of emotion, every tonality, every passion in here. In the beginning, it had kind of a, for lack of a better word, a more studious, kind of quiet sound to it, a more solitude kind of tone, just kind of calm. But then over the course of the 17 minutes, you went from dramatic highs and canyon lows with the depth of the chords, and to kind of little flights of fancy with the birds and the higher notes, and just kind of, and you got a lot of different momentum and movement in this one piece of music, and I thought that was really nice to listen to. Now, with anything Beethoven, classical, etc., I don't have like any sort of really knowledge behind it. I'm just kind of speaking on what I hear. So excuse any sort of ignorance or anything like that. But what I thought was impressive in many different respects was how seamlessly he weaves through certain themes in his music, how the transitions happen, you can hear that they happen, but they happen so organically that it flows through really nice. Especially, like I said, because it goes back and forth through so many different kind of sounds, the light and the dark, and et cetera, et cetera. And then listening to this, when was this originally written? Let me see if I can find that really quick. I guess I could do this really quick. Let me see. So originally, this was written between 1821 and 1822. And in the grand scheme of things, that's not really that long ago. And I would say that this sounds very contemporary to me. This still sounds very modern in the way it's played. Some of the way that he was playing in there really sounded modern. And not that I would equate this in any respect to jazz, or nothing that he was playing in there was jazz-esque. But there was something about it that I could hear future piano players in various genres, such as blues, jazz, and etc., being inspired by this. And of course, that's perhaps in some capacity obvious, with, of course, Beethoven, But on the other hand, I don't think it is as obvious. But there's something about the way that he plays that I bet you that there's, a college thesis or something like that, that you could thread the historical musical line from Beethoven to, I don't know, Chet Baker, and so on and so forth. I don't know why I chose Chet Baker, but you know what I mean. you could thread the line, And so I think that that's really cool, and that's what I mean. Like, the music sounds contemporary to me. It sounds like, yes, it's in its own little historic capsule, but you could open that capsule and it would still seem as present and modern, perhaps as it did back then. Now, this is the second part, of course, of this movement. I'm just reading now. The second movement is marked as an Arietta with variations. Thomas Mann called it Farewell to the Sonata form. Now, I'm not overly familiar with sonatas, but it does seem to be a little bit more of a liberal take, I guess you could say, on the sonata, or at least from what I'm familiar with, right? Which isn't much, so don't take what I say as any sort of knowledge. But moving back to the track here really quick, I just want to pull this up here. You guys can be on the screen, it's fine. Coming back, I wish I was paying attention to the moments or when it happened. All right, okay. So see the bounciness, the back and forth. He does a lot of great back and forth between the left hand and the right hand, and the way that the kind of jaunts between them, almost in a, hear me out, a pop-esque kind of way. And so that's what I mean. Like, there's a little bit of a saloon sound here, right? There's future sounds. You could piece by piece this piece, and pick out moments that would perhaps influence future piano genres and tones and ways of playing and performing. Like, that's what I kind of mean when I describe this. This is, of course, exuberance. This really makes me think of a saloon. And of course, the volume control as well is really impressive, and makes for a nice listen. Obviously it says stereo here, but that the quiet in the beginning, and how it's very roomy, studious. You can imagine listening to this in a library, as compared to the rock and roll that's happening here later on. And then there's an elegance to the way that he plays that's also noticed in the power that he plays, right? So this moment right here, I love these back and forth that he plays with. I think it was before this. Like, he's always playing rhythm and then playing some sort of lead on the, I don't know, my hands are doing this. Like I'm playing like a fretless bass or something, like fingering the bass. But like, it's just a really interesting the way that he plays. And once again, I don't have any sort of depth of knowledge to like really speak, but it sounds really good. That's what I should just end with. He conceived the plan for his final three-piece sonatas, or his final three piano sonatas during the summer of 1820. Although the work was only seriously outlined by 1819, the famous first theme of the Allegro ed Appassionato was found in a draft book. Okay, moreover, the study of these draft books implies that Beethoven initially had plans for a sonata in 3 movements, quite different from that which we know. It is only thereafter that the initial theme of the first movement became that of the string quartet number 13, and that what should have been used as the theme with an Adagio, a slow melody in A sharp, okay? And it goes on from there. The structure, of course, is in 2 movements. Let's talk about the one that we listened to. Sets of 5 variations on a 16-bar theme. Maybe is that kind of like 16-bar blues? Is maybe I don't know. Once again, that's beyond me. All these, that's beyond me. Triplets and this and that. The third variation has a powerful stomping dance-like character with falling swung 64th notes. Okay. Here you go. Okay, here you go. Mitsuko Uchida has remarked that this variation to a modern ear has a striking resemblance to a cheerful boogie-woogie and the closeness of it to jazz and ragtime, which are still over 70 years into the future. Give me one of these.
Please clap.
And one of these. I told you. Describe the second move, proto-jazz boogie-woogie. I told you there was something about it. Man, yeah. There's a lot more information here. I knew there was something absolutely 100% about it. I told you. Let me know what you guys thought of it, of course, in the comments down below. Listen, I'm excited when sometimes, like, I know maybe it's stupid. I like when, especially with something like this, I have no, like, I don't know anything about it. I'm just like, I'm just a guy. But I love, like, it's a little self-gratifying, but I like when I notice something and it's echoed and confirmed in some capacity by those who actually do know what they're talking about, you know? I'm just putting it out there. Alan, thank you so much for the support and the recommendation. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I got it. And I'll see you later.